All right, so what we're going to be doing now is that we're going to be looking at, with these radicals, we're going to be multiplying and dividing these and trying to simplify them if we have some sort of setup and get it down to something that's more or smaller and easier to handle. Okay, so multiplying. So when you multiply radicals, what you got to look at is make sure that you're in the same power and you're taking the same root. If it's not the same root, then you can't really multiply them together. It's a little more complicated than just keeping them on the same radical. If they do have the same, if they're taking them to the same root, like what we're mostly going to be looking at, what you're going to be doing is that you just multiply the numbers on the inside. So looking at this, we got 4 square root 7 times 4 square root 9. All we're going to do is that we're just going to multiply 7 times 9. And 7 times 9 gets you the fourth root of the square root of 63. Now this does not break down, okay? So it doesn't simplify anymore. We end up getting 3 times 3 times 7. Now we look at the second one. Again, we have the same, we're taking the same root, so we can multiply them together. But what you might want to do with these before you multiply them together is to see, oh, can I factor anything out? And so you can factor the first one, which would be 2. Factor the second one, which would be 2 times 2. As you see, that gets us 3 of them, which means that our answer would be 2. And that would be our answer. And so when we multiply these together, we keep it under the same, we can put them all under the same radical and multiply them together. And that's going to get us our answers. Okay. And then after we multiply them together, then you want to see if you can factor it down and simplify it any further. Okay. So multiplying and simplifying. So again, the numbers out front, we multiply those two together. So we're going to have a 6 to start out front. Now on the inside, what we have on the inside, we have we put all those together, which would give us a square root of 7 times 21. Okay. 21 breaks down to 7 times 3. So under the radical, we're going to have 7 times 7 times 3. The 7's come out, so we can put 6 times 7. Okay. And then underneath the radical, we're going to have a 3. That's just chilling. Okay. Now we look at the variables. So we have a 3, or x to the third, which would be 1, 2, 3. And then we have another x to the third, 1, 2, 3. So how many groups of 2 do we have? 1, 2, 3. Oh, hey. So that means we have x cubed coming out. Okay? Because again, we're looking for pairs. And now we look at the y's. We've got y, y. That's one group, so the y comes out. So now we simplify this. Gets us a 42 x cubed y square root 3. So when we multiply these together and we simplify it, we end up having our answer as 42 x cubed y square root of 3. And that would be our simplified form. And that would be our answer. So again, multiplying it, depending on how you want to put it together, if you want to simplify it first and then move on, or you could multiply it and then simplify it from there and take the things out underneath the radical. Either way is fine. Whichever one you're more comfortable with is fine. All right, now let's look at these. So we've got cube root of 6 times the cube root of 16. Okay. Well, 6 can be broken down into 2 times 3. 16 can be broken down to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay. So now we want to look, okay, 3 of a kind. It's because we have the third root. So we go 2 square root of 2 times 2, 8 times 3, 24. 12, 24. 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. So it looks like our answer would be 2 root 12. Cube root 12. You can't forget that cube root. If you forget it, then you're going to get it wrong. Because if you don't put it, then you're assuming that you're taking it to the second root. You're not taking it to the third root. All right, now looking at the bottom one, we want the square root of all this. So 7 times 42 breaks down to 7 times 3 times 2. We've got a pair of 7s, so the 7s come out. Square root of 6, stay on the inside. Let me do a good 6. There we go. Now we got our 5s, or our x's. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we got another one from here. How many groups do we have? 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 groups of 2, so we have x cubed. And now we've got our y's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, 4 groups, which will give us y4 on the outside, and we've got 1 y left over. So it looks like our answer would be 7x cubed y4 times the square root of 6y. And as you see, that's what we have as our answer. Okay? So again, simplifying, you just multiply them together and then factor them down. All right, now dividing. Now when you are dividing, assuming that the bottom one is not 0, because that gets us an undefined answer and it's not real, what we'll do is we can put everything under the radical, and then we can reduce the fractions before we can try to attack the cube roots. So here, we can go the cube root of 27 over 64. And now we can go, okay, can we reduce this? Well, we might be able to, we might not be able to. But if we're able to, we should try to, okay? And what we end up getting is that we can we can't reduce it right away, but we see that we can break 27 up to 3 times 3 times 3, and 64 is 4 times 4 times 4. And since we're taking the cube root, we've got 3 3's, so all the 3's come out, and we've got 3 4's, so all the 4's come out. Okay. And so our answer would be 3 4's. Okay. All right, so now simplifying this one. So since we have square root of 12x4 over square root of 3x, we'll take the square root of 12x4 all over 3x. Okay, we'll reduce this. 12 over 3 is 4. x4 over x, you would take one away, so you have x cubed. And you would take the square root of 4x cubed. Square root of 4 is 2. X cubed, square root would be x square root x. And so your final answer would be 2x square root x. And that would be your answer. All right? So again, you can put everything underneath the fraction and then reduce it. So like here, square root 500 over square root 5, you put under one fraction, all underneath the radical, and you see you get square root of 100, which everybody should know is 10. Then the next one, you can go, okay, 56 over 7, which will get you a 8. And then we have x5 over x, which is x4, y5 over y, which is also y4. And now we take the square root of that. Square root of 8 would be 2 with a square root 2. Square root of x4 is x squared, and y4 is y squared. And as you see, that is our answer. Okay. So again, it just takes time and everything. All right, rationalizing the denominators. So with your denominators, which is, again, the number on the bottom, we do not want a radical underneath the bottom. It's not proper. It's not what you should have. You know, it's like eating with, or it's like talking with a lot of food in your mouth, or putting elbows on the table. It's not polite to do. Some people are very picky about it. And so to get rid of that, what we do is that whatever's in the bottom, whatever the radical is, we multiply it by what's called a trivial 1. So we're multiplying, like this example, we have 8 over root 5. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by square root 5 over square root 5, a trivial 1, because that is 1. And that would get us 8 square root 5 all over 5. And that would be your answer. So you would multiply it. Remember, square root 5 times square root 5 is just the number underneath. So if we want to try to simplify this, what we'll do is that we can multiply the top and the bottom by 10xy, square root of 10xy. That looks like it gets us a square root of 20x4y all over 10xy. Okay. 20 can be broken up into 2 root 5. Alright, so we got 2x squared square root 5y on the top part. And then what we'll have is now we have that over the bottom, which is still the 10xy. And now we can reduce 2 over 5, or 2 over 10 is 1/5. And then x squared over x is x. So we have x square root 5y all over 5y. And that would be our final answer. Okay. Another way of doing this would have been to put it all underneath the radical. And then reducing, which would get you a one x squared over 5y underneath the radical, and then rationalizing it from there. But you'll still get your same answer. Okay. All right, simplifying these. So the first one, we want to get rid of the root 2 on the bottom, so we square, multiply it by root 2. Getting us the square root of 2x all over 2. The second one, since we're taking a cube root, we're going to need 2 of the 2's underneath there to get rid of it. So we're going to multiply it by the cube root of 4. Multiply it by the cube root of 4. Okay, and the reason for that is, remember, for a cube root we need a 3 of a kind. Okay, we need a 3 of a kind to take it out. Well, how many more 2's do we need? We need 2 more 2's. 2 times 2 is 4. So that would get us a 2 all over the cube root of 4x. And that would be our answer. Okay. That one you won't see too much, but it's still something that you've got to look at. All right, so simplifying. For your IRAT, what you're going to have to do, the first one, you're going to multiply those two together and then simplify, reduce as far down as you can for the first two. And then the second one, I want you to rationalize the denominator. So rationalize it, get it so there's no radical or no square root in the bottom. Okay, and that's your IRAT that you will do. So simplify the first two and then rationalize the bottom one.